Hello, my name is Joe and welcome to my channel, Joe's Book and Movie Corner. I was tagged to do two tags. I was tagged by Gavin at Genre Books, and the two tags that he did are the eReader tag and the audiobook tag. So we have a tag double feature for you. The eReader tag was created by Micah Cummins, and the audiobook tag was created by BookBuds. So let's start out with the eReader tag. Number one, what was the first e-reader you ever owned? What was your reason for getting one? Were you a reluctant convert or an eager one? The first e-reader that I owned was I think it was a Generation 2 Kindle. It may have been a Generation 1. It had the keyboard down at the bottom and page turning buttons. It was not backlit. It was a gift, I think around 2010. It was given to me probably for my birthday or for Christmas. And I was excited about it. I downloaded books. That was a really cool idea. I read them. I enjoyed the experience of reading on the e-reader. But I think what ultimately made me reluctant to really get into e-reading was, one, I liked going to used bookstores. And a lot of times I found you could find cheaper stuff used. I mean, even just ordering stuff online, a lot of times you can find a better deal getting a used book than the ebook, which is kind of weird to me. Now I feel a little differently about that. I know how to actually look for deals, and I'm also into more public domain reading now. So I do like e-reading now. I'm a big e-reader fan today. Number two, what e-reader do you use now? / what e-readers do you own? So I think I did get rid of that original e-reader I had. The battery eventually just died from me not using it. So I'm going to say that I only have one. So it's my Kindle Paperwhite. This is a Generation 10. I purchased this used. And yeah, I love it. It's great. It's Paperwhite. It's simple. I actually like how there's no buttons. I like the touchscreen to turn the pages. I like my little case that I have for it. I like a kind of a thicker case, by the way. Makes you feel like you have something in your hand. So yeah, this is the one that I have. It's great. Number three, do you read digitally on multiple devices or always on the same device? If you use multiple, how do you decide which one to use? So most of my e-reading is just going to be done on my Kindle. However, occasionally if I'm somewhere, I'm out and about, and I find myself waiting, and I wasn't expecting to have to wait for something, I will pull out my iPhone, and I have my e-reading app, or my Kindle app also on here. So I love that. I like how your Kindle app on your phone or another device will sync to your Kindle, and that's really nice. I don't do it very often, but occasionally I do read a little bit on my phone. Number four, do you still read physical books? If so, how do you decide which format to read a certain book in? Yes, I do still read physical books. I prefer overall reading on the Kindle, but I do still love a physical book. How do I decide which format to read in? Well, if I start, let's say it's a book series, if it's like a more modern serialized series, and if I start with a physical book, I want to read the rest of them in the physical format. Vice versa, if I start the first book as an ebook, I want to continue the series as an ebook. Sometimes though I think reading on a e-reader is overall better, sometimes I just miss reading on a paperback, and I'll miss. I want to read a mass market paperback. I want to read a trade paperback. I want to read a hardback. So sometimes the desire to read a format helps me decide what I read next. And also, if there's a book that I'm interested in, I will check to see if I can find one. Is it in the public domain? If it's in the public domain, I will get it for free from Project Gutenberg, maybe. Or sometimes if I look on Amazon and I see that in the Kindle store there's it's on sale for $2, I'm gonna pick the e-reader version. So a lot of it depends on what's the cheapest copy I can get. Number five, what is something you dislike about reading ebooks? Well, first let me say what I like about it. My favorite thing, besides just the convenience, I can fit it in my pocket. It can go with me everywhere. It'll sync up with the Kindle app on my phone. and on other devices, which is really nice. My two favorite things are you can read at night in bed with the light off, which is nice for my spouse. I don't have to read with the light on. But my favorite thing is reading in bed. So in a physical book, I'm reading Dracula currently in a physical copy. I like to sleep, or I like to read on my side. So let's say I'm reading on my left side. That's totally fine if I'm on this side of the book. But when I turn the page and I'm on this side of the book, now on my left side, it's a little awkward holding the book. And I have to, to get comfortable, then you have to switch to your right side. And that really annoys me. Either trying to hold it on when you're on the wrong side or constantly rolling back and forth. With an e-reader, my favorite thing is being able to lay down in bed and pick one side. I don't have to adjust my position based on the book, if that makes sense. So that is my favorite thing about e-reading, and I don't think I don't really hear people mention that a lot. All right, so the actual question, though, is what do you dislike? What do you dislike about reading ebooks? I think this is similar to what Gavin mentioned in his video. I do like with physical books the ability to easily flip back to an earlier portion of the book. Yes, you can highlight in an ebook, and it's easy to access those highlights, but sometimes you don't think something is important in a book, and later you realize it was important, and you didn't highlight it, but you want to find it again. It's a little awkward on an ebook. Another thing too is if there's illustrations and maps. I suppose you can probably highlight those things and make it easy to find. And also sometimes on an e-reader the table of contents is pretty easy to navigate. But I do think it is better, like let's say there's a map at the beginning of a fantasy book. It's just easier just to go back to the beginning or flip through the book and find your maps and illustrations. So I wish navigating an e-book itself was a little easier. And I wish people making e-readers got a little more, and ebooks got a little more creative with how to navigate the ebook. Number 6, would you ever ditch physical books completely and become a sole ebook reader? If yes, why? If not, why not? So short answer is no. I do like reading physical books. I like collecting physical books. So in the foreseeable future, no, I would never consider that. However, towards towards retirement, maybe towards the end of retirement, when you got to start giving stuff away, it's sort of, this is grim and morbid, but end of life. Yes, towards maybe in retirement, maybe I would consider it, but that is a long way off. So short answer is no, I would not consider getting rid of my physical books. Number 7, where do you get your ebooks? Kindle store, library loans, or third-party websites? So definitely from the Kindle store. I have a Kindle, so I use Amazon. Also, I will occasionally use library loans. And then I do use third-party websites as well. Project Gutenberg is a big one. Also, now you have to, if you're in the US, you have to be careful with this, but DelphiClassics.com is a great website, really more for if you're in the UK, because public domain is different from country to country. But if you're in the US, they do have ebooks for you if you're in the US. But you got to be careful because nothing is stopping you from getting the UK books. So be careful. But Delphi Classics, it's great. And that's another thing too. So websites that do sell, if obviously Project Gutenberg stuff's in the public domain, it's free. Of course, you should utilize it. But I will, for public domain books, I don't mind spending a few books if it's a collected works, several books bundled together, and they're a little bit nicer. Like in Delphi Classics, they give you some introductions, they give you illustrations. It's usually a little bit nicer than the free Project Gutenberg version. So I will spend money sometimes on public domain works if you get a little more out of it. Number 8, tag some fellow booktubers. I'll put some people down in the description, but if you're watching this, consider yourself tagged. All right, tag number 2, the audiobook tag created by BookBuds. Number 1. Now, fair warning, as you'll see in here, my answers might be a little shorter in this one and uninteresting. Do you listen to audiobooks? In general, no, I don't. It's a skill that I don't have. I wish I did. I like the idea of listening to audiobooks, but it's a skill. I don't have it. I zone out. Number 2, has your use of audiobooks changed over time? If so, how? Not really. When I was younger, I can count on one hand the number of audiobooks I've completed. The Giver, Hatchet, maybe Redwall. And recently I tried to read it's not reading, it's listening. I tried to listen to an Agatha Christie Miss Marple audiobook, and I just didn't finish it. So it really hasn't changed. I've never really been into it, but it's always something that I wish I were into. Number 3, how do you choose which book will be read versus listened to? It's easy. I'm going to read it. I'm sure I will try it again in the future. If I've got a long drive, I may try listening to something. Obviously, I can't read a physical book when I'm driving on a road trip. Number 4, do you look into narrators before you listen, or do you go in blind? I go in blind because, again, I can count them on one hand, the books I've either listened to or attempted to listen to. Number 5, do you multitask while audiobooking? When I was younger, no. Those 3 books, The Giver, Hatchet, Redwall, I remember being in bed listening to the audiobook. Nowadays, Agatha Christie, and I think I've tried a couple other public domain audiobooks. I've listened to them driving or going out on a walk. But I find that even with driving and even with going on a walk, I will just zone out. So multitasking is probably a bad idea with audiobooks for me. But even I can't imagine just sitting down and focusing on just the audiobook and sitting there like David Putty. Again, I don't audiobook. Number 6, if you're reading a series and you listen to the first book, would you ever switch to reading a later book, or do they now all need to be listened to? Doesn't really apply to me, but if, for time's sake, I can read so much faster than listening to an audiobook. On a side note, too, you might be thinking, well, you can play it at like 12 times the speed. That kind of defeats the purpose to me. If I were listening to it, I wouldn't speed it up. I want to listen to it. I want the narrator's narration in its normal speed because it's a performance. Anyway, I would think that I'd want to continue reading with the audiobook. But then again, for a speed thing, since I can read stuff faster, I might get tired of how long it's taking and just switch to a physical book or an ebook and actually read it. So, but I don't know. Number 7, what % of the books you're consuming currently are audiobooks? 0. With the Agatha Christie book, I DNF'd it. Not because I didn't like it. It's just my road trip was over and I don't really listen to audiobooks. Number 8, bonus. Do you have a favorite narrator or favorite book that you enjoyed in audio format? So I don't have a favorite narrator, but I will, by default, I will say Hatchet is my favorite audiobook format because of the audiobooks that I've listened to. It's the only one that I did not either read first or reread a physical copy. So Hatchet, it's the only audiobook that I've consumed solely by listening to the audiobook. Anyway, so if you're watching this, consider yourself tagged. Again, I will put people down in the description. Feel free to do one or both of these tags. But that's all for now. Thank you.